So continuing on the Bernie Sanders interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience, we're going to be looking at the clip following the one we just posted a video of. Bernie gets into healthcare with Joe Rogan and his idea to expand Medicare to eventually cover Medicare, become Medicare for all, and expand it so that everyone's covered and include dental and eyeglasses. Now, I could start making a lot of the argument for and against this and that. I'd rather just, kind of play this clip, go ahead and get it played now, and then give my rebuttal to all this afterwards. Let's take a listen.
What are the misconceptions of you? Because here's the if you go to the knee-jerk conservative reaction, you talk to people who are not interested in anyone that wants to be a democratic socialist. They hear the name Bernie Sanders. The negative implications are that you are somehow or another going to take their money. Right? Is that annoying to you?
Yes, it is. Of course it is. And also that I'm Mr. Maduro. I'm a dictator. I love dictatorships and all that stuff. And the truth is, Joe, that if you look at the issues that I campaign on and what I believe on, they are really not terribly radical. They exist in many countries all over the world. For example, we can start on healthcare if you'd like. Is the idea that healthcare is a human right, not a privilege, a radical idea?
I don't think it is.
It's not. And the truth is, we are the only major country on earth. Many people don't know this. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right, and yet we end up spending almost twice as much per capita on health care. The function, and you can argue with me if you want, but the function of the current health care system is not to provide quality care to all. It is to make tens of billions of dollars in profit for the drug companies and the insurance companies. That's the function. If you go to Canada, and I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border, you have major heart surgery. You're in the hospital for a month. Do you know what the bill is when you get out?
Zero.
You got it. You go to any doctor you want. You don't have to take out your wallet. And yet they guarantee health care to all of their people, and they spend 1/2 of what we spend. That's kind of what I want to do. And I don't think that that's terribly radical. We have a program now, which everybody knows. It's called Medicare. It was started by Lyndon Johnson back in 1965. It is a popular program. All that I want to do over a 4-year period is to expand it. Today, eligibility age is 65. I want to take it down to 55, 45, 35, everybody over a 4-year period. That's about it. And I want to expand benefits to include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses as well. That's about it. Not too radical.
Well, that doesn't sound radical at all. Now, when you say that Canada spends less, obviously they have less people. You mean less per capita?
Yes, half per capita. Exactly, per capita. And the quality of care is as good or better. Do they have problems? Yeah, they have problems. Everybody has problems. But overall, the healthcare experts will tell you the quality of care there is as good or better than it is in our country.
So what's the hurdle?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what the hurdle is. The hurdle is exactly the same thing as in every other aspect of our lives. It's the power of money. All right, listen to this. Over the last 20 years, the drug companies alone have spent $4.5 billion in 20 years on lobbying and campaign contributions. That's what we're up against. The knowledge, and I mark my words, within a short period of time, you will see TV ads in California, all over this country, demonizing Bernie Sanders. He wants to do this terrible thing to you. He wants to do that. They have unbelievable amounts of money, and politicians are frightened of that power. I'll give you one example. Back in 2016, I got involved here in a little way with an effort on the part of the nurses to control the cost of prescription drugs in California. You may recall that effort.
I do.
It was a ballot item in one state here in California. Do you know how much the drug companies alone spent to defeat that effort? They spent $131 million on one ballot item in one state. All right. Last year, the top 10 drug companies made $69 billion. A week ago, I went to Canada with a number of Americans who are dealing with diabetes. We bought insulin in Windsor, Ontario for 1/10 the price, 10% of the price, same exact product being charged in America. So you got drug companies that are engaged in collusion and in price fixing who are incredibly greedy. And the result is many elderly people, many working people simply cannot afford the medicine they need. It's unbelievable. And the reason for all of that stuff is we are the only country in the world that does not negotiate with the drug companies. They can charge you any price they want. And that has to do with the fact that we don't have a national health care program, Medicare is not negotiating, etc.
Is this something that can really be implemented inside of 4 years?
Yeah,
I mean, it seems
surely.
like it's an enormous endeavor.
Well, I want you to think back, Joe. In 1965, you had Lyndon Johnson as president. And by the way, this idea of national health care, this has been talked about literally since Teddy Roosevelt. This is not a new concept. Healthcare is a human right. That's what Teddy Roosevelt was talking about. That's what FDR was talking about. Harry Truman was talking about it. Kennedy was talking about it. Kennedy got killed. Lyndon Johnson picked up the mantle. And their idea was, according to people in their administration, we'll start with the elderly who are most impacted by healthcare costs and sickness. We'll start, and they did. In 1965, without the technology we have today, they implemented Medicare. 19 million people, elderly people, signed up in the first year. So if you could start a brand new program and have 19 million people sign up with a technology that is way, way behind where we are today, why can't we, over a 4-year period, simply expand that program? I don't think it's such a difficult operation.
So when you talk about the drug companies and the lobbyists and the enormous amount of money that they spend, does this exist anywhere else other than the United States, lobbyists on that level?
No, of course not. And the reason, in Canada, what you have is you have a national health care program and so forth. And they sit down and, they negotiate with the drug companies. They have their own approach. But every other major country on earth says to the drug companies, of course you can't charge us any price you want. This is a reasonable price. Tell me what your profits are, what your expenditures are. This is a price. For us, you can walk in, if you have an illness, you could walk into the pharmacy tomorrow and the price has been doubled. And you say to the pharmacist, what happened? He said, they just raised their prices. They could do it any day they want, any price they want.
That is a Bernie Sanders I wish we saw a lot more of. And perhaps it's due to the environment that he's been in when he's been trying to explain his case on Medicare for All and some of his other programs. Perhaps it's just, the way the whole thing is staged and set up, on the debate stages like we just covered in the last video. Perhaps that has something to do with it. But whenever I've heard people try to ask Bernie more details, Bernie to me just does not come across when a huge spotlight is on him as a great orator of his overall message. I mean, when he has these rallies, I don't want people to think I'm saying he doesn't get his message across. He has very, very vocal about what he supports. But when it comes to the fine details of it, I feel like sometimes I'm listening to him, he just doesn't really get that out there as much. So, but on this particular occasion, hey, A+, man. Beautiful. Perfecto. Okay? He tackled everything from the fact that the current system is all about making profits, not making you better. Okay? They'd rather make billions than make you better. Okay? That there is severe lobbying going on in our healthcare system that does not happen in other countries. They don't just jack the prices up at the drop of a hat like they do in this country when they take, just any old notion to do so. And if you want to see a good example of that, go look up Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli and see what that piece of crap did with, when he was over his company and jacked the price of life-saving medicine up astronomically. Okay? So you're welcome to go look that guy up and learn a thing or two about, that example. That doesn't happen in other countries. It happens in this country because of the way our healthcare is set up. And a lot of other major countries do guarantee healthcare as a right to their people. Now, as far as the overall care is concerned, from what I've read, I've heard both arguments. But it seems to me that if you go, obviously you could find probably bad examples in countries that are clearly not as economically strong as this country is. I wouldn't go compare the hospitals in, well, hell, let's go with the media's favorite punching bag as of lately. I wouldn't compare hospitals in Venezuela to hospitals in the United States, and I don't care what healthcare system they got. They're not that rich of a country. Now, at one point in time, they may have been, but yeah, they're definitely not now. Okay? I wouldn't compare, hospitals in countries like that to the hospitals in this country, just simply because I feel like you're comparing apples and oranges to start with. It doesn't even matter what kind of healthcare system you've got. Okay? So that's first and foremost. Now, where some people make a point, and they do have a point, is that you have to wait on surgeries in Canada. Okay? So let's just take a look at an article real quick that explains the differences in the wait times between United States and Canada. Let's take a look. Okay, so reading from an article here, and just kind of already scrolled through to where it really gets to the heart of the information. Surgeries are scheduled after patients are seen by the surgeon, and most people see surgeons only after a referral by either their primary care physician in America or the general practitioner in Canada. In the United States, 70% of patients are able to be seen by specialists less than 4 weeks after a referral. In Canada, less than 40% were seen inside of 4 weeks. After being advised that they need a procedure done, only about 35% of Canadians had their surgery within a month, whereas in the United States, 61% did. So that's not quite double. Doubled would be 70%, but you're easily, close to double. Close to double. You're only 9% away from being double the amount of people in the United States had surgery within a month as in Canada. Okay? After 4 months, about 97% of Americans were able to have their surgery, whereas Canada struggled to achieve 80%. America is significantly outperforming Canada in surgery wait times, even as it's likely that tens of thousands of Canadians come here to use the American system. General surgery procedures such as appendectomies, cholecystectomies, I'm guessing, big word there for old southern man like me, and hernia repairs make up the largest portion of those who leave Canada for care, based on the latest available date from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The total Canadian caseload for many of these procedures is about 10% of America's. Okay? That kind of really gets to the overall gist of the argument about the wait time issue. And while that may be true, I just want to make one thing clear. Okay? From a personal perspective, Bernie also pointed out that when you have that surgery, okay, in Canada, it could be major open heart surgery, and when you come out, your bill is zero, son. Zero. You don't pay a single thing. Do you have any idea, even with insurance, what your payment would be in this country if you had major heart surgery? There may be some insurance plans out there where you have zero. I wouldn't know. Not really had that much health care coverage during the amount of time I've been an adult. So I can't really speak to that. There possibly would be. But I would be willing to wager that the majority of people who go through that procedure in this country will come out with a nice big fat bill. So, and of course there's always the argument, well then if Canada's so great, then why do they leave and come here for surgery? Well, okay, let's be honest. What did I just say? You're going to come out with a bill, right? So, my guess, someone wants to give me some information proving me wrong on this, is that anyone who could go to another country to get surgery done, they ain't making my kind of income. I can't afford to go to another country, period. Much less go to another country to get a surgery done. Are you kidding me? There's no way. I mean, and let's say that I were to find out that because of the issues I have in my neck, or my knee, for example, that I were to find out tomorrow I need a surgery in it. It's not life-threatening, but it needs surgery. There's no way. There's absolutely no way I could afford it. I mean, I'd just be dealing with a screwed up neck and a knee that locks up, you know. Now, obviously, my knee's not in that bad of shape. It's just, you know, it's an old injury that I got years ago, and it hangs at me, you know. But the neck thing, I think that happened on the job. I know it finally kind of workers thing because I didn't notice it for quite a while. I was getting up into a van one day, stepped up on the van, wasn't watching what I was doing, and caught the lip of the edge of the van when you slid the door open. And just when I went to step up into the van, I caught that edge and basically just hit me straight on top of the head and compressed my head down. It actually knocked me senseless for about 10-15 seconds. About a month later, all of a sudden I started getting these god-awful locking pains in my neck. I mean, they were absolutely horrible. And even now, I have to sleep with my pillow just exactly right. If I move sometime in the night and get off that pillow the wrong way, there will be pain coming from right at the top of my spine all the way across my skull into my eyes. And it just feels like somebody has hooked an air pump up to my head and it swole out this fat. And the pain's just right there, almost like the brain stem, man. And it's horrible. But if I were to find out the only way to treat that was surgery, I'd be screwed. Screwed. I could not do it. That's why I don't even go to the doctor. Like I've said in other videos, when I stabbed my hand, having an accident. Had to fix it with Loctite, Ace Wrap, gauze, and some peroxide and Neosporin. Took care of it at home. It healed itself. Hand works fine. But I couldn't go to the doctor. So, you know, I look at it like this, okay? If you can pay to get these surgeries done, you know what I mean? I'm sure even if it were to become like Canada in this country, you would find a back door and an avenue. If you want your surgery done quicker, you could probably find some way to get it done quicker. But even if you don't, let me put it like this, okay? I had much rather, if I had to, wait 4-5 months to get a surgery that I need and would either save my life or drag them. Now, if obviously, the only problem I really see there is if you kind of have something life-threatening facing you immediately, and you gotta wait 4 to 5 months possibly to get that surgery, yeah, you could be dead by then. However, I mean, under most cases, I mean, maybe it's like this in Canada, maybe it's not. It wasn't really covered in that article, but speculating here, and from what I got to understand, I don't think it would be that much different than if you had to get rushed into surgery like you went to a normal hospital. I mean, if you're having a heart attack, I don't think they're going to put you on a wait list and say, we'll deal with you in 4 months. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm 90% positive that's not the case in Canada, or we would have heard a lot more about it by now. Okay? And so with that being said, the only other thing that I could see would be if it wasn't exactly life-threatening, like in other words, you weren't in cardiac arrest, but you could go into cardiac arrest and they still put you on a list. To me, I feel like if it's life-threatening, you should kind of go to the top of that list and be in like no time if it's life-threatening. But if all I need is a knee replacement, or you know, someone needs a hip replacement, or you know, you got to have something done with your neck, something that's not life-threatening but just needs to be done physically, I had rather wait 4 to 5 months, deal with the pain. I mean, I've been dealing with issues quite a few years now and hadn't been able to go to the doctor about it. I'd rather go through things like that and just kind of be out of commission, have to wait on my surgery and come out with a bill of 0, than to be gotten into surgery within a month and then be bankrupted after I left the hospital. What good does it do me to get my neck, my knee, or whatever fixed if I'm going to leave the hospital and be so far in debt? I don't know that I could pay in all my bills. Matter of fact, I'm sure I could. I'd have no money, to really support a child. Me and my wife ever decide to have one. I'd be in debt trying to pay all these bills off. Okay, and the insurance company didn't cover all of it. I mean, so between the two, yeah, I'd rather be on a waiting list. Because you see the argument that, oh, you gotta wait in Canada. Well, yeah, and that's why people come here. Yeah, but what did he also point out in the video? People go there to get the medicine because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to go there and get the medicine. So, like I said, I'd rather be on the waiting list and get my surgery and get it free of cost or free of charge. I'd take that system. And the people in Canada come here, yeah, because they have the money to do it. I guarantee you that if there's anybody like me up in Canada, they're just sitting there waiting on that waiting list. And meanwhile, if you put them here, they might get the surgery quicker. They could also probably lose their house if they had to have that kind of surgery and they couldn't pay for it. So yeah, that being said, he pointed out that, people go to Canada to get the cheaper medicine, like I just said. They're raising the prices out of control here. Yeah, I kind of addressed that in another video, but I'm going to dig back into it again. So, obviously, the big argument about why they say we can't put price controls on medicine in this country is because, well, they're charging extra money for research. We have to research this stuff. Matter of fact, I think I better take another tone. I better change that voice up a little bit, because the people that sit in their ivory towers in Big Pharma don't talk like that. They talk down to people. They're basically telling the American people, look, sir, we can't do things your way. You must pay this higher price to we elite people who make your medicine, because we have to continue our research to make these pills better. Really? Well, if all that extra money is going into the research and development, then how come we actually pay taxes to fund all of this? That's right, people. Your tax dollars are being used to fund the research and development of medicine, as well as the other corrupt things we have talked about on this channel. But let's just focus onto this, and let's read this article from the LA Times for a moment, shall we? And it's actually going to talk about good old pharma bro Martin Shkreli, who I mentioned earlier in the video. When Martin Shkreli of Turing Pharmaceuticals raised the price of Daraprim by 5,455%, he put drug pricing on the agenda for the leading 2016 presidential candidates. Bernie Sanders is reported to have rejected Shkreli's campaign donation, and Hillary Rodham Clinton came out with a plan to tackle spiraling costs. Even Donald Trump called Shkreli a spoiled brat. Yeah, a lot of Republicans even came out and called out Shkreli too. Okay, so even some of the old, money-bought Republicans couldn't even stand this guy, Everyone knows that Americans pay high prices for drugs, but there is more to this story. The taxpayer not only shells out at the pharmacy, but also plays a critical role in funding these drugs in the first place. In other words, the public pays twice. Although the pharmaceutical industry justifies routine overcharging by pointing to the huge and uncertain costs of the research, the truth is that the government historically took and continues to take the greatest risks. Jump down here a little bit. Since the 1930s, the National Institutes of Health have invested close to $900 billion in the basic and applied research that formed both the pharmaceutical and biotechnology sectors, with private companies only getting seriously into biotech game in the 1980s. Big Pharma, while of course contributing to innovation, has increasingly decommitted itself to the high-risk side of research and development, often letting small biotech companies and the National Institute of Health, or NIH, do most of the hard work. Indeed, roughly 75% of so-called new molecular entities with priority rating, the most innovative drugs, trace their existence to the National Institute of Health funding, while companies spend more on Me Too drugs, slight variations of existing ones. But if Big Pharma is not committed to doing the research, what is doing it? First, it is well known that Big Pharma spends more on marketing than on research and development. Oh, wow. So you mean to tell me they spend more on running advertisements on my TV programs telling me what pills I need to go ask my doctor if I need than they do on research and development on if I need it? Oh my God, who would have thought such a thing? Less well known is how much it is also spends on making its shareholders rich. Oh no, you don't say. Pharmaceutical companies, which have become increasingly financialized, distribute profits to shareholders through dividends and share buybacks designated to boost stock prices and executive pay. Oh Lord, the humanity. Oh man, I feel like I'm reading something so taboo here. I mean, really? As if, as if most people didn't know this to begin with. But no. So this is just shooting this whole price argument in the foot. Take Pfizer. Economist William Lazonick has shown that from 2003 to 2012, it spent $59 billion on share buybacks and $63 billion on dividend payouts, for a total payout to shareholders of 146% of net income. All the while, Pfizer benefited immensely from U.S. government spending on life sciences research and drug development. Rather than making patient long-term investments, large shareholders in big pharma companies are looking for a quick, easy, guaranteed return. So, what have I been saying it's all about? The money, 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 son. That's all they want. That's all they want. And they're not investing all that extra money into the research and development like they want you to believe. As evidence that Big Pharma is spending less on research becomes irrefutable, the pharmaceutical industry has used other excuses to support the high prices. It has, for instance, argued that prices are proportionate for the intrinsic value of the drugs. Oh boy. Price is the wrong discussion, Gilead Sciences Executive Vice President Greg Alton declared in a response to criticism over the price of Sovaldi. Value should be the subject. Oh, that's such a nice way of basically saying, yeah, we're screwing you and getting away with it. However, studies looking at cancer treatments have shown no correlation between the price of cancer drugs and the benefit they provide. Wow. Peter Bach, a renowned oncologist, has found that for most drugs, a value-based cost is actually lower than the current market-based price. The state of affairs is not simply a huge failure of the so-called free market. It is a long con. The supposed partnership between public and private sectors is increasingly parasitic. hurting innovation and fueling inequality through reduced investment, exorbitant prices for consumers, and more money siphoned off for shareholders. Rather than the static debates about public versus private, what we need in the United States is a better deal between government and business in exchange for the massive public investment. Big Pharma should be asked to reinvest profits back into R&D or research and development rather than giving such high percentages to shareholders. Furthermore, given that most drugs originated thanks to public funds, the prices of these drugs should be capped to reflect the taxpayer's contribution. Wow! Wow! So, am I reading this correctly? You really mean to tell me that after all of that the big pharma companies aren't actually doing what they say they're doing with the money they're getting from me? Well, not for me, because I don't buy any medicine really. But yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what that article says. Exactly what Bernie's saying. Tulsi, a lot of other people. It's a rigged system. And they are feeding you one big line of bull crap, son. They're not putting that crap into research and development. Oh, no. And somebody out there in La La Land is probably going to try to fact check me because they may invest some tiny little bit still. But it's very clear what they're doing with their profits. Very, very clear what they're doing with their profits. And again, as I've been saying, that's going to keep happening if you let free market into that column, because while I'm not saying we need a completely socialist society, because we don't, free market and capitalism definitely has its place within this country. Capitalism does inspire and spur on growth and new jobs and inventions and things like that. However, there is a very ugly side of the capitalist system, and when you let it into things like prisons and health, there you see some of those nasty side effects. Capitalist prisons need prisoners. Capitalist medicine needs money. They have investors. They have people that are running the show. And they're using your health as a means to make money. That statement should register to everyone. That's a problem. No one should be using my well-being as a money-making gimmick. And you're asking a world that is most certainly not living on a high moral compass here to just be honorable, full of morals, and true to their mission statement that their overall goal is just to make you healthy. That's what I want to do. I just want to help you. You're asking people who live in the world we live in today, and there's plenty of people in the world we live in today that would steal money from their grandmother and not lose sleep at night over it. Okay? The world we live in today is full of a lot of people who just don't care about other people. And you're asking people from this world to just be honest and to do right by you more than try to do for themselves at your cost and at your expense. Good luck with that, son. Good luck with that. I mean, I just went through a recent issue with my job where I was thrown underneath the bus. Okay, and plenty of other people go through stuff like this all the time. People throw you underneath the bus. Shoot. If they could make billions of dollars and throw billions of people under the bus, guess what they're about to do, son? They're going to throw you under the bus, make money off of you, keep you sick, and they don't want medicine that's going to make you cured. They want medicine to treat whatever it is you got, like I've said, so they can keep giving you more and more pills, charging you high prices for them, and telling you that that money is needed for the research and development Meanwhile, your tax dollars are already paying the National Institute of Health the money for that research and development. I don't know what they're research and development. Matter of fact, I do. They're researching and developing how they're going to make more money off of you. That's what their research and development is all about. And that's all it's ever been about. It's a money game. Corporations need to make money. So Bernie, hey, 100 on that test, son. A+. You knocked that one out of the park. You explained that very well. And you explained exactly what the problem is in this country. So for all my disagreements with Bernie, you know, some of the tactics about how to deal with the wage issue in this country and all that, and some of the other programs where he wants to just, you know, eliminate a lot of other debts. You know, we get into free college and things like that, and I kind of see where he's going. But I mean, I may have some disagreements with him there too. But on the healthcare thing, and the argument here, he's dead right. And it's time the people speak up and say, we're tired of this old status quo crap. You know, and we're tired of a system that only benefits the wealthy people in this country and craps all over hardworking blue-collar people like myself and millions of others. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Also, please subscribe to the channel as we're trying to grow this channel to reach more and more people every day. And if you subscribe, be sure that you ring that bell so that you stay up to date and get notifications when we release new content. Also, please support us in the link below with our Patreon. We're trying to make this channel grow. Funds will be used to grow the channel and to reach more people. We appreciate your support, and we hope you tune in next time.